Hi, I'm Peg Siciliano. I am a member of the board of the Traverse Area Historical Society and past archivist of the Society. We're here today to offer you a small taste of our very popular Oakwood Cemetery tour with a Halloween twist. Because of the COVID pandemic, we will not be offering these tours this year, but we certainly hope to see you next year. What I'm going to be offering today is just a very small portion of that to give you an idea of what the tour is like. If you like what you hear, please go to our website at www.traversehistory.org and find out more about our organization and how we preserve, protect, and present our local history. We are here in Oakwood Cemetery, right at the mausoleum of Julius T. Hanna, his wife Elsie Raff Hanna, and her family. Julius, you may recognize his last name Hanna, as he is the son of Perry Hanna, well known as the father of Traverse City. Most of us don't know as much about Julius, and there is a good reason for that. Julius was born in 1858 and died in 1905, just 1 year after his famous father passed away. Think about that. Think of celebrities today and how often, we hear stories of the difficulties that their offspring have, finding a place for themselves in the shadow of their famous parents. Well, think of Julius. He grew up in his father's shadow. Now, we have no reason to think that their relationship wasn't a fine relationship and that he wasn't sad when his father passed away. However, it would have given him a chance to move into the leadership of the company. He had started working in the company at the bottom rungs, worked his way up, as far as we can tell, was very successful, and then he passed away. While, as far as we know, Julius's relationship with his father for most of his life was a good one, we do have reason to believe that closer to the end of it, there were some problems. Elsie Raff lived right across the street to the east of the Perry Hanna mansion. And there are reasons to believe that the Hannas were not super thrilled with Julius marrying Elsie. Her father was quite successful in comparison to pretty much anyone else, other than perhaps Perry Hanna. And there are, again, stories somewhat substantiated that Elsie was not welcome in the Hanna house even after the marriage. Now, perhaps a proof of that, or something that would make us think that could be true, is the fact that the Perry Hanna family plot is on the southwest corner of Oakwood Cemetery. The mausoleum here of Julius is more on the, northeast corner. Not quite as far apart as it could possibly be, but close to it. So that does sort of lead to the possibility that there was some tension there towards the end of Perry Hanna's life. Speaking of houses and the fact that the Raff and the Hanna house were right across the street from each other, this does bring up another Halloween with a twist story that we're offering in these videos that we're giving, whether you watch them at Halloween or not. And it brings up a house I had a personal experience with in the Boardman neighborhood. There's a relatively new cottage type house sitting on a corner in that neighborhood. I always thought it was very beautiful. When I first moved to town in the mid-1980s, it was an empty lot. At some point, this house was built. It was an aesthetic architecture that I really like, so I paid a lot of attention to it. And it seemed to be turning over. Every 2 or 3 years, there'd be a for sale sign, and someone else would buy it. And then 2 or 3 years later, it would be back up for sale again. It seemed odd to me because the location was gorgeous, the house was beautiful. And then when I was working as the archivist, one evening, a couple came in and they started asking me about information I might have on a house in Boardman neighborhood. And it turned out it was the same house that I had noticed over the years. As we talked further, they eventually got comfortable with me, and they revealed that they were thinking of purchasing it because they had heard it was haunted. And they were the kind of couple that was actually something that was attractive to them. They wanted to move into a haunted house. So I started doing some research, trying to figure out if there was any, substance to this. And I looked back through the newspapers and the records, and I found out that what had sat on that lot before it was torn down was a grocery store, and it had apartments above it. Now, I didn't find anything about the grocery store being haunted. However, when I looked into the tenants of the apartments, for several years there was a man who lived up there, and his name was Fred Deadman. Deadman. No story of any hauntings or, untoward doings going on up there, but I must admit the name Deadman did catch my attention given the questions that were being asked.